Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Commentary as Magic stream on today, Sunday, May 12th, 2019. I am, as always, Grandpaws.
Big Cheese is currently on a plane, probably about 30,000 feet, and internet doesn't exist up there, but I'm Arcat. And today we've got with us special guests.
Hifrog.
And Cursor Chords. Because apparently streaming once today was not enough for either of us.
So
well, it's tomorrow for me.
You're streaming twice. Can you do that? Can you stream twice?
Apparently.
I suppose we're going to find out, huh? Hello, Werefrog. Glad to see you here. It's con season. If there was ever a doubt as for whether or not it's con season, it's the 3-week break in between BabsCon and Everfree. Where you sit there and recover, and then just as you're recovered, it's time to go again!
No pressure.
No pressure?
No pressure. None at all. More
well,
pressure. More cons. Oh god, so many cons.
Well, speaking of Everfree, as we start off the stream here today, we should remind every pony that we are going to be at Everfree Northwest, both as leaders of the CCG room and as community guests. So there is going to be a ton of activity going on in the CCG room over the weekend. The schedule is on Reddit, and I believe we can post a link to that here at some point as well. But we also happen to have our two commentators for the weekend who are here with us right now, coincidentally. Isn't that nice?
That I didn't realize that until right now. You sly dog, you.
So both Hithrock and Cursed Chords will be commentating on many of the constructed tournaments over the course of the weekend. And Headband as well, if we can get that to work.
This is... oh boy.
You're actually going to try to get that to work?
No.
What kind of commentary do you expect on Headband?
It's less commentary and more you participating remotely.
Oh, okay.
That could work. Sure.
This is going to be amusing.
This will
require
a use of Discord and video chat, but whatever, we'll figure it out. Anyway, Ara, you've gone through the process of planning a lot of the events for Everfree, and you've managed to include a rather unique one compared to previous years.
It's not Beyond Block Popper, but it is Beyond Block.
And what's interesting about this format is, first off, it's actually probably viable.
It's way more viable than Equestrian Odyssey's block was with only 2 sets in it.
Right. And not only is it viable, but there really hasn't been a history of it.
There actually has. Winnie City did run a Beyond Block tournament.
Did they run Beyond Block or EO Block?
I'm pretty sure that was Odyssey's. They published results for an Odyssey's block tournament.
Yeah, it was EO Block.
Was it? Interesting. I was under the impression that that was actually a Beyond Block tournament. Okay.
You might get the chance to break the seal, so to speak.
Uh-oh. Well?
So this raises some important questions, right?
Like, how much of an utter terror is Sea Poppy going to be?
I mean, sure. That's definitely a valid question. What do I think is a valid question?
I mean, I've got my answer to that, which is sit on the sidelines as cackle as I'm like dance puppets.
Sure, that ends up working. What is this? This is another Sea Poppy deck by the Werefrog. That's fun. But since you're going to be restricted to only 2 sets, how on earth are you supposed to build a viable deck when you have maybe 300 cards to choose from?
I don't know. I was building viable decks when we only had Seaquestria. Granted, they were...
It's a rhetorical question.
Well, meh.
Yeah. Granted, they were...
And they were... not exactly tricolor, but they ended up having to be tricolor because you couldn't have enough problems to fill out a problem deck without going into a third color. So, yeah,
That problem at least has been fixed.
yes.
Yes.
Your entry situation was, of course, interesting, but hey, we made it work.
So with problems no longer being a problem, we can actually start to look at what sort of deck archetypes might exist in this format.
Poppy.
And
Poppy.
Poppy,
Poppy.
Cursed.
I mean, I can't really argue. It's on top of the rankings.
You made the rankings. I'm calling you biased. Just keep changing the algorithm until Poppy ends up on top forever.
Sounds good. The algorithm.
Yes. Algorithm, whatever. Anyway, turns out there's actually quite a bit you can do with Beyond Block, and we've got a couple ideas to help you get started. First, just to clarify, for those of you who may not be aware, Seaquestria and Beyond currently is the breakpoint of a new block. So the previous block was Equestrian Odysseys, High Magic, Marks in Time, and Defenders of Equestria. And Seaquestria and Beyond starts a new block with Seaquestria and Beyond and Friends Forever. That means that those two sets are the only sets that you are allowed to use cards from, whether it's your main, your problem deck, all the cards in your draw deck, doesn't matter. Only Seaquestria and Beyond and Friends Forever.
Mm-hmm.
However, because the set or card pool is so limited, there is one major noticeable change compared to, say, Core, which would be the next closest equivalent. And that is that there's a certain card that is banned in Core for very good reason, that is not banned in Seaquestria and Beyond block.
Fluttershy? I mean, Fluttershy is actually on the card, so, huh. So much for that joke.
So currently, main 6 is not banned in Seaquestria and Beyond block, and that's because it's much harder to find a retire engine and get it to work.
Not that they don't exist, it's just
No,
not as devastating.
right. So just be aware of that. With all that said, though, that's not where we're going to start. Because Ara heard that we should build...
No, this was a direct response to Hithrock trying to build, what was it, Mono Trixie? Yeah, it was Mono Trixie at one point.
I mean,
That does sound like
is there any other way to build?
Well, in fact, there is, yes. So, before we begin, I would like to point out a very subtle distinction in what we're about to present. This deck is entitled Mono Purple Smart. Now, the problem here is most of you are sitting here thinking there was a dash between mono and purple. So, it's Mono Purple Smart. But no, you are in fact wrong. It is Mono Purple Smart. So, Mono Purple Smart. Would you...
This is a key difference.
Would you care to guess what is in this deck?
It's Trixie.
Is it
No.
Trixie? Everyone is guessing Trixie.
No, it is not Trixie.
That's a disappointment.
Only to you. So,
Why is there a Queen Novo there?
As its name might imply, there is Mono Purple Smart. So Twilight appears in the art of every card possible, except the main, because I checked, there is no Twilight in any main. Not even in the background.
I like the fact that your problem deck is completely legit. Like, that's fine.
Yes.
So...
Also, you're going to raise a point about a particular card in there.
I was going to.
And then someone in chat does it, and my response to that is, shut up. It's kind of too good not to include.
I mean, that is just very fair.
Like, everything in here should have alicorn on the trait, so that's kind of good. Just saying.
You did this. You did this, Aura.
I did this. You did this? I did this.
You did this.
Now, in deference to the fact that this is basically a meme deck, there is a variant of this that might actually not be terrible. The previous thing had no resource removal at all. And you're entering into not your primary color. This seems like a bad idea. So instead, we're going to propose this item here, which actually has resource removal and does something useful if you main it with Tempest. So, just a thought.
I love the fact that you have to use main 6 because there's nothing else for entry that has Twilight on the card.
Yep. Anyway, but this is basically a meme deck that I just decided to push far enough to actually be a legal Beyond Block deck.
That being said, who knows, right? You've got Endless Friendship. If that thing ever hits the field, it's really hard to get rid of that in Beyond Block.
Yeah,
Should
it
do
is.
well. Recurring theme. There is not as much removal as we are used to in Beyond Block.
Yeah,
There's still old money.
Go for it, Hithrock.
There's still old money.
There is still old money, but there's no Luna's Future, there's no Interdimensional Portal, there's no Twilight and Sparkle, or Twilight Sparkle and Rarity Exposed.
But there's Endless Friendship. You just retire old money to the home limit.
That does leave your Twilight vulnerable to further disruption, though.
Yeah, just run Brian's.
That's fair enough.
That's very expensive.
It is very expensive.
Still, a fun start, a good theme, and a surprisingly high number of ultra rares and super rares in here. That being said, let's move on to something that's maybe a little more functional.
Hey, this is
And
perfectly
that-
functional.
You're calling Twilight, you're saying Twilight is not dysfunctional.
Yes.
She's full Twilighting, man.
Not
She's a verb.
Not seeing the problem here. Anyway, let's move on to what this is Pearl Abuse for blue-pink aggro. So, I hear you like abusing pearls. Now,
I mean, not usually.
now,
But in this case, yes.
not usually is fair enough, but Pearl is kind of interesting as its own card. Yes, it is very expensive, but you must note that this thing can just whistle up anything with Transform. There are some pretty good cards with Transform, and most of those cards can be used to do silly things, like recur friends with on enters play effects. And that's
So,
what
like-
this deck does. So we've got Plush Dash, we've got Wild Wonders, we've got Pinky and Twilight. And all of those are good cards that have really good on-enters play effects. And I mean, you can take this to the level of even pointing at Rainbow Dash Loyal Pony, because that's still a pretty good on-enters play effect.
It's completely fine. It's basically a free 2 power.
Yeah. And you know what would be even better than getting 3 of those? Getting 6 of those? Or more?
And being able to draw them out of your deck every time.
Yeah. And then having to pay 1 to play them a second time?
That seems unfair.
That does seem unfair.
Let's do it. That sounds great.
Yeah. The other fun thing about this is resource removal is not as prevalent in this meta. There's not as much opportunity for it. In fact, this deck in fact has none. So yeah, we are kind of breaking the rules, but blue-pink just doesn't have resource removal in Beyond Block. But that's okay, because with luck, this will let you go fast enough to not care.
Yeah, the real hope here is that you're not going to run into Desert Road. If you run
Yeah.
into Desert Road, you're going to have much worse of a time.
You are going to be, in fact, a very sad pony.
But if you don't run into Desert Road, pretty good. This deck goes fast. Cursed, you played this deck just a little bit ago.
Mm-hmm. It reminded me a lot of old school Hot Wings. In just, yeah, we keep on playing stuff and moving stuff and confronting problems, and it's a fun time.
The momentum of this deck never really slows down, nor does it accelerate just completely out of control. It just kind of goes and keeps going.
Yeah, it's very hard to have a hand that isn't able to keep going, basically.
If you draw all your pearls and all your sky stars, then you might be in some trouble, but the odds of that happening are not great.
Even the pearls can rustle up more work for you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. It's kind of a neat little trick.
Yep. Next deck?
Hold on.
Oh.
I was wondering, so given that, as you said, there's not much resource removal in Beyond Block, why not run sticks?
That's a fair point.
Stick could probably end up slotting in here in place of a couple cards. For example, do you really think that you're going to need 3 Pinky and Twilight bait and switches? And if you are only running 2 of those, do you really need 3 Pinkie Pie Joyous Sea Ponies? And if you're only running 2 of those, then do you really need 3 pearls? You could probably get away with dropping each of those cards by 1 and put in a set of sticks.
And there's maybe a question of roughly the same thing about Wild Wonders, but hey.
And it's a little more flexible, but yeah, I mean, you could cherry pick which cards you wanted to reduce by a quantity of 1 and easily find room for a playset of sticks in here.
Yeah, this is using Silverstream over Skystar.
You mean Skystar over Silverstream?
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah. So you're guaranteed to get a lot of bodies out here.
Yeah,
that's not a problem.
Your pink will go online very, very quickly, and I think the 2 seashells are important in getting the momentum for this up very quickly.
The next question I would have for you is, would you want to change 1 copy of Lacking Lesson Plans over to Searching High and Low to do Skystar things?
That's a tough question.
Or maybe a copy of Daring Escape, since they're both 0 bonus.
That might be a decent argument. I mean, but really, who's going to open with Searching against Skystar? That just seems like a bad idea.
Don't open against Skystar with Searching.
Or do. I enjoy playing...
Don't do it.
Do it. I enjoy playing...
What if I'm Skystar too?
Okay, unless you are playing Skystar and you are willing to break the rule of don't never not play Skystar Chicken, and yes, we're adding more negatives as we go.
I thought this was a settled debate.
Well, that it was never don't play Skystar Chicken?
I thought it was whatever it was, at least.
No, it's never settled.
Let's always play Skystar Chicken. It's best to play Skystar Chicken against someone who doesn't want to play Skystar Chicken. Because then they're just sad. Although admittedly Silverstream would be hilarious for her own reasons. But anyway.
Yeah.
There's many things you can do to this.
Yeah. It's a good foundation. These are all basic foundational ideas for decks. The individual card quantities and inclusions can obviously be adjusted. This is just to get some ideas going, because Beyond Block is brand new as far as tournaments are concerned.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at another list. Let's see what else we've got.
Well, briefly in chat, that's not how you're supposed to start the game. Nope.
Oh yeah, that's not how that works.
No. Okay.
When you play Skystar Chicken, you're gonna lose sometimes.
You gotta commit to Skystar Chicken.
Yep.
Alright, what do you got here?
So this is Seleno Purple, and it's a mid-range deck. And it really tries to do the closest that it can to the core version, which is I'm going to use AT value as my aggro tool. Instead of getting a bunch of chained movements or just extremely huge, powerful friends, I'm just going to have more AT generation or cheaper actions than my opponent, and I'm just going to be able to out-aggro that way. And while I do that, I'm going to slow them down. So you've got a lot of forced movement in here with Twilight Sparkle and Spike Ultimate Organizers, Spike Festival Assistant, Magical Pony, Pegasus Chariot is obviously huge. And you've got a lot of AT gen in Guidance Counselor and Daring Do, and that can help you just kind of ramp up.
And in case that doesn't work, you can just aggro them down. I mean, look at all those fun blue things.
You got Flash Magnus, you got Daybreaker, you got Plushy Dash. Flash and Pony Pirate can both give you a good amount of Frighten going on. Staff can give you more Frighten going on. This one does run resource removal. And I think there's another card in here that's worth at least discussing. Cursed and I talked about this yesterday. And that's Star Swirl. You might look at this deck and say, boy, there are not many events to trigger his second ability. In fact, there's exactly one playset of events. Second ability doesn't matter. Star Swirl generates card advantage and also lets us set our top deck. That's ridiculously good.
Absolutely.
And what with this whole thing about not having much removal, he might actually stick around a while.
Exactly. When you're not scared of Food Fight or Belly Flop, and instead the cheapest pink removal comes in the form of Sorry Stamp or Skystar Friend to the End. A little different then. So that's basically it. You're going to gain a bunch of AT, go fast, and in the process of going fast, make your opponent go backwards towards their home, where you move all their stuff. And if worse comes to worse, you can just do Soleno combos and flip your main over and over again with Tempest.
Only a few times.
Flip her 4 times over the course of a game.
Yeah, it's not bad. 8 points is nothing to sneeze at.
More than halfway there.
Right. All right, next one. Hithrock, do you have any comments?
No, not really. Besides the fact that I like the color combination.
That's true. Me and Hithrock were talking about this just this morning, and how blue is such an amazing mid-range color, and I feel like you almost did this just for him, or this is why you invited him, at least.
Nah.
I think Hithrock is like obligated to be like, was there ever any doubt?
And this one does find room for sticks, so there you go. Okay, let's take a look at the next list.
Needs more pearls.
No transform cards.
All right, what do we got here? I see a tiny trader, and a giant trader, and some more traders.
This is either like your most favorite or least favorite deck. I'm going to go with least favorite.
Let's see.
Can be both.
Let me count the cards that I need to hiss at here. There's more than one. Okay. Let's see. So we have an Acellus deck, which of course means that we need things that can generate more power than their cost.
Yes and no. So it turns out it is exceptionally tricky to have friends in white and yellow that are always going to have more power than their cost. There are many ways to do it temporarily with Rarity Generous Pony, Pharynx, Thorax. Those are all fine.
Obligatory hiss.
Obligatory hiss. But to actually get a friend that has just a higher printed power is really tricky. As far as I could see, there's really only one, which is Rumble, and Rumble feels bad. The good news is we have ways around this.
What about critters?
Yeah, I was actually going to say, what are Sorry, what's the cost of a token?
0.
The
in
cost of a
fact.
token
Zero.
is 0. However, remember that we are in Seaquestria block. Friends Forever had no critters in it, baseline, because of the Harmony theme. And all of the critters that were generated through Seaquestria and beyond,
Critter Choir?
Critter Choir does generate tokens. That's fair. Critter Choir could be an option, and you could also run corralling critters, and that's it.
Your herd tokens will though.
Yes, which is why you have the 3 Herd of Adoring Fans in here. So whatever you put on herd, or whatever you put herd on, which spoilers, it's Timble every time. Yeah, that'll work just fine.
I don't know. Having like 6 day shifts sounds fun.
It can also be fun.
Sounds a little like diminishing returns, maybe.
But yeah, the overall goal here is pretty straightforward. You're just gonna aggro. You're gonna aggro, and Ocellus is gonna be big.
You're going to do Timble things.
Yes, you're gonna do Timble things, and it's gonna be great for point acceleration because there's very few options for point acceleration in outside of blue, really. And in the process of doing Timble things, you're also gonna go fast, probably. You hope.
Yeah, this looks kind of annoying to play against because it's just going to be like I'm going to score some points, and then I'm going to be like it's hard to remove my things, and it's hard to deal with that 5 power main.
Yeah, 5 power Ocellus is kind of a pain, and an 8 power Ocellus when you have staff is even worse. And then if you happen to have extra AT, the 16 power Ocellus, and we can just keep keep going. There's all kinds of modifiers here. There's 2 follow my leads. There's rarities. There's pharynxes and thoraxes and stuff.
Hey, I mean, Ocellus is an activated ability. If you have enough AT, you can take him as far as you want.
Oh yeah.
I don't think she would appreciate spending like 12 AT for no reason. But
It's
if you really
it's not no reason. You got to hit the record.
what if you really want to win that face off and
Okay, I will go catch a bug outside in Seattle for whoever happens to get their Ocellus up to the highest power in the Beyond Block tournament. And that bug can be your trophy.
what?
I'll even build a little tiny terrarium for you.
What?
I mean, you're joking, but someone will bring a deck that, like, the entire point of the deck
No,
is just to bring Ocellus to the highest power they can.
I'm not joking. I'll sit there, I'll find a jelly jar and get some moss and stuff out there, and we'll do it. And give you a little bug and name it Ocellus.
You're going to forget to poke holes in the top.
Don't forget to poke holes in the top. Ocellus needs to breathe.
Eh.
The other thing I do like here is that some of your yellow entry is actually available off of Chaos, which is nice. So your Thoraxes and your Brian can actually enter play without you needing entry, which is kind of fun. Okay, next deck. Hubert Jellius Jar. Yes, I know.
Oh yeah, that guy.
All right, Cursed, I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Yeah, this deck. Well, you're saying that because I played against it a couple times. And,
Yes.
Yeah, it's both fun and not fun, depending on which side of the table you're sitting on. Like all great decks. Yeah. Essentially, yellow-orange is already a thing that exists in core and does basically the same thing as this deck does, which is play Treading Water and have it stay in play and play a bunch of other stuff that's got printed power less than 2, and then like do power counter things and have them just stay there.
Just forever.
Yeah. From the opposing side of the table, I can say that it really felt like playing tennis against a wall. Like, no matter what you do, the ball just keeps coming back.
Yeah, I think over the course of the 2 games, we had exactly 4 characters that were ever sent home. We had Queen Novo, who was sent home from a problem because, well, she's not a friend. and we had 3 little one-cost friends who were sent home from a problem because that problem was a dilemma and the dilemma went away. Other than that, every no, I'm sorry, there was 1 Jonah Gold. Other than that, every friend ever stated a problem.
It seems annoying.
So you're asking if Ember is decent to prevent treading water from getting frightened. Honestly, if they're going to go so far as to frighten treading water, we're probably going to want to have multiple out eventually.
I mean, to be perfectly fair, in this kind of deck, that's kind of relevant to knock you off the problems. So, sure, I'll burn a Frighten on that.
Sure, which is fine, which is also one of the reasons why you'll see some odd choices for entry here. Like the 3 Bryans, which can get in, and the Slarites. The Slarites are especially weird. There's a reason for this. We want to delay flipping Queen Novo as long as possible, because Queen Novo's effect is something we really want to see in the late game. And normally, we're not ever going to need to move characters from our home up to problems, because they're always going to be at problems thanks to treading water. If treading water ever goes away, though, gets frightened, banished, dismissed, whatever it happens to be, and Brian wasn't able to protect against it, then all our stuff is going to end up at home. And then we flip Queen Novo and we're right back where we were. So because of that, Ember is not as necessary, since she'll only end up protecting against she'll only end up protecting our own friends once they actually get power counters on them, and Applejack and Fluttershy are already a massive target. Putting power counters on them is just putting a hat on a hat.
Putting a little bit of a, hate magnet on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Also something or other about Applejack's hat.
Now, as Cursed pointed out, this is a strategy that already exists in Core. And very much like in Core, this really depends on if you get your AJ and Fluttershy. If you get AJ and Fluttershy, you're going to have a good time. If you don't, or you don't find your entry,
you're not going to have a good time?
You're going to have a significantly worse time.
Suddenly you're forced to play a deck that's actually fair.
And not just fair, but like bad fair.
That seems unfortunate. Like
bad fair to the point where your best move is to like move Queen Novo up and drop some gummies into play and like play a Valley Trend to no benefit so you can confront your lacking lesson plans.
I think I hear. Am I detecting some bitterness here?
A little.
Little rustled, are you?
It was fine. It was fine. It was a fun game, and I eventually got into treading water, and then we started being able to play, and it was fine.
Carsa, can you confirm his rustled status?
Jimmy's still rustled.
Yes, precisely. Couldn't say it better myself.
So, I see this deck, and I see orange and yellow, and those seem like the best colors for resource removal in Beyond Block, and there's not a single one here.
There are 5 pieces of resource removal.
Where? I can see them.
3 Bryans and 2 Valley Trends.
Oh right, there are Bryans. And Valley Trends do stuff actually, right. But why now Big Mac? Given that getting rid of Big Mac is pretty hard, Big Mac could actually mean that your opponent is not going to play resources ever.
Big Mac could be a good consideration in place of Valley Trend. In fact, that's probably a better choice overall.
He is also 2 power and gets the counters. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a good call, Hithrock. I'd probably replace the Valley Trends with Big Macs.
Huh.
But yes, as Cursed said, if you can manage to get the Treading Waters online, it's very easy to play. It's very easy to play online because you never have to drag your characters around anywhere. They just stay exactly where they are.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point in chat there. You're a little ruffled there.
Yeah.
A little ruffled.
Yeah, just a quick trick, because I feel like we're going to be moving on here. For anyone who does play this deck, or play against this deck in Everfree, say, for example. Note closely that Applejack and Fluttershy only trigger if the problem was solved. So if you replace it with, say, a Pinkie Pie and Twilight or something like that, that should get around them.
And indeed it does.
Yes.
Yes, that was something you did mention. Okay, so now we get to the point that we kind of started this all with, which is, so you heard Main 6 was legal.
You know what? I think we've been having too much aggro going on here. Don't you think, Grandpaws?
I don't know, Hithrock, what do you think?
Too much
Should we dial it back a bit?
Yeah, I think we need some heavy control.
No, I think we should dial the opponent back a lot.
Like their entire board?
Yeah, all
Like
of
to
it.
0 friends?
Yeah.
All right.
So-
That sounds good.
It does sound good. Let me start off by just being like, honk.
Honk. This is Silverstream. Because we need card draw. And because, unfortunately, Pink's options for single target friend removal in Beyond Block are bad. Let's just call them bad. So instead of removing all of our opponent's friends one for one, what we're going to do here is set up the wall. Not a wall.
The wall.
The wall. And this wall is going to stretch across our opponent's problem and our problem and just everything. Everything will be behind this wall. And the best part is, you're going to make your opponent pay for it.
Really?
I mean, someone had to make that joke, clearly.
Yeah, if it wasn't me, it was going to be Cursed.
Oh my god.
It was on a pony card, you can't get mad at me.
You know, you're right, I can't. I really can't.
So, there's a lot of eccentric. Hithrock, walk us through what you see here.
I see Lyra, I see Cherryberry, I see Kettlecorn, I see Pinkie Pie and Rarity, and I think that's it for Eccentric, but there's a lot of more stuff here, like Shopkeeper.
But you missed the Silverstream. She just wants to see what you're doing for like 4 hours.
That is the most accurate description of what Silverstream does that I think I've ever heard. It's like when you have that person hovering behind your shoulder when you're focusing really intently on a project, and you just can't focus because they're right there, like breathing on the back of your neck and occasionally knocking things off the table.
You made me actually uncomfortable.
Right?
Oh my god.
That's Silverstream.
I'm going to bring my Silverstream to Everfree, and I'm going to do that to you.
Don't do it! You're a monster!
Which is
Don't do it.
Just
Now
poke her
I'm
over
glad
your
I won't
shoulder.
be there.
Gosh. If Ara does that, I swear I'll throw Silverstream across the room.
Gotta catch her first.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway, so yes, you pointed out all the eccentric. What do we actually have as far as hard removal is concerned, though?
Oh, let's just go down this list. There's so many toys.
Sorry, Stamp.
Yep. And there's a good number of Earth Ponies here, which is nice. In that there are 6. But it's better than nothing. Petrified is also technically hard removal.
You're short
As
on Earth
hard-
Ponies.
It's
Huh?
as much of hard removal as Trashed is a resource removal.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're short on Earth Ponies, clearly the answer is to steal your opponent's Earth Ponies first.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I have a better solution if we're going to steal our opponent's everything first.
So Richard in chat points out Cornered as a piece of hard removal. Yes, Cornered is a piece of hard removal because it can force each player to reduce or to retire friends until they have no more than 3.
You know what would be a darn shame?
What's that?
if your opponent had no friends, because all of their friends are your friends now.
Hmm. And you steal them with main 6, I assume? And then play cornered and then retire all of your opponent's friends?
Yeah, sounds good. It'd be best if there was a bodyguard somewhere to make like a bunch of unicorn tokens.
Boy, that sounds irritating.
That does sound irritating.
But grand pause, you might say. All I have is main 6, and my opponent has all the other friends. Cornered is still going to leave me with friends in play. Let's look at the wording of cornered a little bit more closely. All right, can you hover over it so we can get a larger view?
Oops, that's the wrong window.
So cornered says each player chooses up to 3 of their friends and retires the rest. You may choose to retire until you have fewer than 3, if you so choose. Now, cornered is one of the only mass retire outlets that we actually have in Seaquestria and Beyond block right now. The only other option is Shoeshine. And Shoeshine is in blue and yellow.
Ah, Shoeshine the Destroyer.
And so we're not going to do that. So the goal here is very simple. Set up the wall, be eccentric, be showy, be super irritating, petrify all of your opponent's big threats, then Stygian the Petrify to petrify more of their big threats. When your Stygians are inevitably retired to bodyguard, mismain your Stygians to Stygian your Petrify to petrify more of their big threats.
And then when it looks like they're actually going to get something done, steal all of their things.
Correct. And there you go. That's the game. Unfortunately, the problem deck is tricky, shall we say.
Somewhat lacking in the control sense.
Yes, somewhat.
Yeah, I'm seeing some unfortunate necessities up there.
The good news is Silverstream is one of those lists that happens to make every problem just a pain in the butt to confront. So even though those have low printed requirements, that's likely not what your opponent's actually doing.
Usually not. Oh, and then just in case that wasn't enough, see we have a mismain here, so you can just mismain your way to victory.
Yeah, of course.
Or you can retire main 6 to bodyguards and return it with mismain.
Oh my god, you're a monster. That's awful.
Wow.
That's really awful.
Well then.
That sounds good.
This,
Actually, you might just retire mismain to cornered if you don't need its power immediately so that you can just get it back with mismain. Unless,
Yeah,
of course,
main.
you have the bodyguard.
You mean main 6.
Or main 6, yeah.
Yeah.
Main 6.
That's,
Ew. Gross. That's really bad.
yeah, that's kind of terrible. Okay, so what I'm hearing is... drive this? This sounds
If you
annoying.
want to play control, this is a good place to start.
I mean, we got to get it banned in block now, right?
Well, yeah, that's the point. And if anything's going to do it, it's going to be something like this, probably.
Just can't have nice things, can we?
Main 6 is not a nice thing.
I don't think I agree with that.
Main 6 is a mean thing.
I mean, but it's the main 6. Look at how happy Pinky is.
Pinky is always that happy. Look at Twilight. Look at how worried she is. And don't come at me with Twilight is always that worried.
Now you can see that on all of the cards here, Pinky is happy, and on all of the cards, Twilight is like concerned and stuff. Except I guess on Fire of Friendship she is actually smiling.
Fluttershy actually wins for adorableness in that art. I can't lie. The Werefrog has it right. So I suppose we should reach out to anyone who's here in chat and say, we hope that many of you are going to participate in the Beyond Block tournament or try out the format yourself in your local areas. If anyone has any lists for Beyond Block that they've already cooked up and would like to share, now's a great time to do so.
So what I'm hearing is what did we come up with the Seaquestria and Beyond online tournament?
Oh, to Seaquestria and Beyond Block?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm hearing that maybe we need to run a Coco.
What would that even?
I don't know. What is that? It's a question.
Block.
Seiko?
Yeah, it's probably closest.
It's an SBCO, I think.
SECO, yeah. Well, because it's normally the first two letters, right?
Yeah.
Or it's Becco. No, because it's Beyond Block, so it's Becco.
There you go. That works.
So we have Heiko, Becco, and Coco. I'm sorry to hear you're not going to be able to make the con, Godot. And Werefrog.
Hey, but you can join the stream.
Absolutely, that's right.
Join the stream and watch and have fun telling us that we're doing weird things during the game.
Before we wrap up for today, Cursed, do you want to just give a little pitch to any tournament organizers on TIA?
Oh, sure. I suppose I'd appreciate that. Yeah, anyone who's out in the chat or perhaps watching this stream later, if you've been paying attention on Reddit, you know that I am maintaining a sort of fan personal project of sorts to try to compile and calculate ratings on archetypes to get a tabular sense of the meta and where decks stand from an actual statistical standpoint. And in order to do that, I basically need data, as much data as I can get my hands on.
Data for the data throne?
Precisely. So yeah, if you ran a tournament, or if you're ever running a tournament in the future, obviously everyone appreciates it if you post results somewhere. Reddit is generally best. But I also have a style guide up there now that'll detail everything that you also might like to give us, such as the Swiss records and the match results, etc., so that it's as useful as it can be for me. And yes, it's been linked down the chat there. At least I assume that's it.
Yes, that is it.
Okay. So yeah.
One thing I might suggest, though, after reading over that, there were quite a few. Like it is kind of a wall of text, but to be very succinct about what would be ideal, you would like all of the Swiss pairings and records.
Yeah, that's the most useful information.
As well as the deck lists, obviously.
Yes. If nothing else, deck lists are the number one. Can't do anything without deck lists thing.
Yeah, but in addition just to final rankings, Cursed's system does take all of the games in the Swiss portion itself into account. So the more data that you can post about this, or just the challenge bracket, I think would be sufficient.
Indeed. I know not everyone uses challenge, but it does actually help things out a lot in that regard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we'll look forward to getting some of that data to you here very soon. For now, though, this is going to wrap up our discussion on Beyond Block for today. We would like to give a big shout out to all of our patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for your regular support. And if you aren't currently a patron, but you enjoy what we do, please consider donating. Doing so does enable us to continue making content like this. If you have comments or questions you'd like to send our way, or if you're just interested in hearing about what we're working on for the future, there are many ways you can stay in contact. We have our Patreon, as mentioned previously, but you can also reach us through Facebook, Twitter, and email. And patrons at or above the $5 per month level also get access to our Slack channel, where you can chat live with us and other patrons any day, anytime, and hear us get salty about the decks we play on Magic Arena.
I think it was only one post, so it's not actually that much. At least I saw one post about Magic Arena.
That's fair. There will be more as the salt increases.
Oh boy. His feathers got pretty ruffled. Just saying.
Stupid mono red aggro decks playing at the beginning, not needing
And
I think I should find a way to play Trixie main in Magic Arena.
When you find your way to do that, you tell me. If you're looking to watch any of our previous videos, including tournament recordings, you can find them in our YouTube channel, which is linked in the sidebar. And please make sure to subscribe while you're there so we can get a channel URL that's a little easier to remember. We are very close to hitting that valuable 100 subscriber mark. With all that said, thank you to each and every one of our viewers, both here now and watching this recording later. We are, as always, Commentary is Magic. I am, as always, Grand Paws.
Make Jesus still in an airplane, but I'm Arcat. And
Hifrog.
And Cursed Cards.
Have a good night. We'll see you all at Everfree. Or in chat.
it's only like a week away. Ah! I'm going to start freaking out now.
Stop twilighting.
No. Start twilighting.
Why didn't you call the deck Twilighting? I think that was a fitting name.
You know, I'll give you a point for that one. Anyway, bye-bye, everybody.
Right.
Bye.